Sung went off and snagged himself a demon dork waifu. Of course, the cute girl he's not going to immediately slash in half. Now, there is an aspect, and even especially puts it in the manhwa of, like, this girl looks like a human, it feels wrong. I don't really want to do this, something feels off here. So there is a reason why he didn't immediately, cut her in half, but still... There is a joke to be made here. I actually like her. I like Esil. I think she was an absolute dork. I loved her being around. Yes, it plays in the usual. Anything that sees Sung's face, he's super hot, and they immediately fall doki doki into him. But it was a fun little bit. I really did like the character, and I like the idea of him essentially raising up this low-ranking noble family into the highest rank just by going to this dungeon. What do you say, Radish or something like that? The Radish family is going to be at the top now, and she's like, it's Radiru. It's Radiru. And they keep saying it wrong the entire time. It was a lot of fun. But no, episode 20 of Solo Leveling, really fantastic episode. Really enjoyed it. Some crazy action scenes, obviously. I mean, we had a whole crazy, 300 thing happening with the two sides coming together and everything, which I think most of that stuff was the extension they were talking about. They said they actually extended the actual fight. That seems like really the only place they really extended it. The rest of it was kind of on par with the manhwa. A couple changes here and there. But yes, this entire episode really building up on the whole Jeju Island raid that's going to be happening. There's quite a bit that the anime unfortunately skipped, which we'll get into as we get into it. As usual, I'll kind of cover anything that kind of is skip with the adaptation, but let's just dive into it. Yes, opening up the episode with the fight with Esil, which kind of sucks because in the manhwa, they kind of show how, she's doing these thrust attacks, and it's literally destroying the buildings behind them, and he claims that every single strike that she sent was essentially vital spots for him. So it kind of shows that Esil was pretty dang OP. This is a strong girl. Unfortunately, the anime just makes her out to be a cute girl that kind of follows around. She's actually powerful. It's just obviously not as powerful as Sung. But yeah, after defeating her, it was just absolutely dorky. Her just please don't kill me. Please spare me. Please spare me. The moment he turns around, got a chance. Goes to stab him again. Oh, please don't kill me. She has no shame. She has no shame. She's a dork. But yes, getting into the interesting stuff here that I absolutely eat up, which is a conversation with her and it opening the door to more possibilities with this other world. Which, yes, at this point, I'm pretty much convinced, based on what she said, yes, they're in this other location. They're being brought here. They're told to do something. What's different here this time is that Esil claims that they were all told to protect the area. Not like usual with the other individuals where it's just kill any humans. Here's a case of defending the land, which that does kind of raise a question mark for me of possibly either there being different beings that are sending them here, or possibly just more of an aspect that they may be changing their plan here. Maybe possibly noting the fact that because Sung is not human, this system isn't working anymore. We tell them to kill humans, they're not attacking Sung, so we need to change what we're telling, what we're sending there. Back here, we told them to kill humans, and they weren't attacking Sung because he's not designated as a human anymore, so we needed to now tell them just to defend the land, and maybe that will cause them to actually attack Sung, which, as we're seeing with this episode, still doesn't happen because they don't immediately want to attack Sung. They're working with him. The Radiru family ends up working with him, so their strategy of protect the land isn't working. But yes, she gets into the fact that they were from the demon realm, and they were preparing for something to come. In the manhwa, Sung digs into that a bit more in his head, the idea of possibly whoever this thing is that they were preparing to fight might hold some key to this whole system and what's going on. And yes, after what Esil says, I kind of come to the conclusion that whatever they were preparing to fight was probably what sent them here. That maybe possibly either that force was coming to the demon realm and was going to subjugate them to send them to this world or these gates, or possibly, implanted their head that something evil was coming, get stronger, and get stronger, and then they got to the point where they were ready for whatever was coming, and it was just all a trick, and then they bring them over to this world, now stronger and reinforced, and yes, all those demon families coming together to band together against some threat, and then bringing them over here. Either way, it's the same result. Some other force was coming to the demon realm, they prepared for battle, and they were brought to here to fight humans, or specifically Sung in my theory of the idea of the system trying to get him stronger. Either way, it's really fascinating. It kind of continues to kind of deepen that other plot line, which is, what is this other side? This is claiming that, yes, there is other worlds, there's other people, there's other physical beings in other worlds that are being brought here for somebody else's game. Which, yes, does sort of make what Sung's doing kind of nasty. It makes this whole system kind of nasty. People are going into these gates and fighting things that were put there beyond their own control. They're put there and told things and said to do things. They're not there to attack humans. The initial reason why they're there is not to attack humans. They're just being sent there and programmed that way. Which is interesting because right here in the manhwa, even Sung himself is questioning this. Because he asks, is something telling you guys to kill all humans? She says no, but we're told to protect this place instead. And what he immediately thinks of at this point is, am I something like a magical beast to them then? Basically, I'm told to come here and defeat these monsters in this gate. In this instance, basically Sung is the invader. He's the invader, and it even kind of echoes that later on where you have Esil and she's struggling whether to, fight with Sung or fight against the Baron. She's going, he's fighting with everything he has, but Sung is technically an invader. Who am I supposed to side with right here? Which he ends up choosing Sung because, again, he's hot. He protected her too. But yes, when he presses on her on what is this formidable enemy that is supposedly going to invade you guys and that you're all banding together and getting stronger to fight, she can't answer. That is beyond the allowed disclosed information. The error happens. The glitch in the matrix happens again. But yeah, after she starts glitching out, he starts to question the aspect of the leveling system and the quests and the job changes and all that kind of stuff, creating sort of this game-like environment. So he assumes that based on that, it's not a far-fetched idea to assume that all these monsters are just another game element. So based on him essentially being influenced by this system, he assumes that possibly the same is true for the other side. Again, this is where he's starting to connect that, yeah, possibly these other beings that are being brought here, like Esil, like all the other demons that are intelligent, yeah, it's probably the same thing that is currently messing with him. He's connecting it that we're all being brought together for one sake. There's got to be a connection here. So that's why he assumes that whatever was essentially coming after them that they were preparing for is probably the same thing or somehow connected to whatever's messing with him. Now, he was interesting because in the manhwa, after she faints, in the anime, you kind of see that she's being carried around and everything, but actually in the manhwa, she was being attacked by the other demons. This entire time that she was unconscious, she was being attacked by specifically the demons without intelligence. There's two different demons in this area. There's ones without intelligence and those with intelligence. And she claims that anything that doesn't have intelligence will not see those with intelligence as one of their own. So they actually attacked her, and so they were defending her the entire time she was unconscious. But anyway, she agrees to give them a permit. They go to the demon castle where her family's at. Immediately, guys doesn't like it. Yeah, obviously indicating here that Esil does not see what her father sees. The assumption here is the father is the boss of this dungeon. He's the one that has the permit. Their family holds the permit. Even Sung himself admits that, yes, if I fought my way here, this is probably going to be the place that I was going to fight the boss at. The boss was able to see Sung's aura. After agreeing that they're going to essentially not fight, and the father is like, yeah, this guy defeated all these other demons, we have no chance against him. I guess what they're kind of implying here is despite the fact that, yes, the Radiru family is up this high in the dungeon, it seems like they're not as powerful as all the other bosses that Sung has pretty much wiped the floor with. The only reason they're up there is possibly because they're the weakest of the clans, but they are of the higher ranking clans. But yes, Sung claims that he's going to take Esil. I want to take your daughter with me. Oh, as a guide, specifically as a guide. She's obviously all doki over it. But yeah, they have a little dinner together, and that's when they negotiate the idea of giving over the permit. In the manhwa, they get a little more into the mind of the father and the fact that it hurts his pride and the fact that he is negotiating with a human. But again, he is acknowledging the fact that this guy is a monster of a human, and if all the others didn't defeat him, he's not going to be able to. But as they go to leave, they actually trigger a party. Apparently, Esil going with Sung actually initiates a party setup. So I think this is the first time we really kind of established a party setup. But Esil joins his party and they actually share experience. But the system is based on contributions, so he's perfectly fine with Esil being a party with him. He's like, dang, she'll start to leech all my experience. But no, it's contribution based. So he just turns to her and says, don't even think about joining in the fight. I'll take care of everything. So it's literally him just trying to take all the experience for himself. But she just sees it as, oh, so he wants to protect me. Doki. It's kind of dorky. But no, this is cool. The next scene, we actually get to see that Igris and Tank can rank up. They actually reach a ceiling point in their levels. They can't level anymore. And so he gets a prompt to allow them to rank up, which, yes, we see Igris actually reach the rank of Elite Knight. I was actually really happy about that. I was I was kind of bummed out that Tusk was an elite knight, and so he was technically higher ranked than Igris, because when he first met Igris, Igris was just insanely OP, and for him to be kind of replaced so quickly kind of bummed me out. So to see that Igris can actually reach the elite knight rank was really, really cool. And of course, tank ranks up as well, so really cool stuff there. But yeah, the gifts for the nobles, that was interesting, because yeah, technically Esil is guiding Sung up the levels. And the idea here is that in order to kind of prevent too much fighting, she's actually negotiating with each of the nobles as they go up the levels. And what actually happened was that her father prepared a whole bunch of gifts that each of these noble families would be happy about. Yeah, they're lower ranked than everybody else above them, but these gifts will kind of give them an ability to kind of negotiate with them. And so they're not having to kill them all. They're negotiating with each of these items. But Esil does kind of get into the fact that disputes amongst the nobles was common. And that, obviously, they indicate that from the very beginning segments of this episode, is the idea that these high-ranking nobles, before this threat came to them in the demon realm, they were constantly fighting with each other. There was constant disputes between each of these noble families. And so this common threat was a thing that made them band together, which again, I kind of think is probably manufactured by this system to kind of bring them together before they brought them over here. But these items are supposed to kind of help them with that. Obviously, there's going to be cases where it doesn't work out. But a good point that Sung makes to this point, the idea that, yeah, some of these people aren't going to negotiate. Are you going to negotiate with me if I was weaker than you? No, she attacked him. She would just kill him. So you can't really expect that every single one of these individuals are going to go with this. So any level 90 and above was going to be a more difficult situation. That's where we're going to get in the high noble area. But she still wants to go with them. Why did you protect my family? Because I like you. And she's just like doki doki over it. He's just like Jinho. I seem to have something with dorks. I seem to get along with dorky people. Just like Jinho. I don't know, she kind of looks similar to his sister. And I kind of wondered if that was going to be a lot of why he kind of snags her along, which, yes, does technically sister zone her. But yes, they get into 90 plus. That's where we get into the more difficult stuff. Again, negotiations aren't going to work there. Esil does end up asking Sung if other humans were as strong as he is, and he's like, no. There's a few other ones, but not really necessarily all humans. But he does in his own mind start to get in the fact that, yes, technically with each of these S ranks in our world, the gap between them is massive. He claims that between B and A, there's like a set measurement between them. But because they can't really measure the mana levels of people that are S rank, and they get higher and higher, they can't really tell the difference between each S-rank person, which honestly makes sense. Again, when he went to go do his evaluation, they just knew that he was S-rank. They really didn't know how powerful he was. All you can really have is other S-ranks go, he feels more powerful than me. That's all they can really get a sense of. I mean, he even thinks about the fact that he used to be, weaker than Go, but he believes that he's stronger than Go at this point. But now I just want to get to the Baron fight, and yeah, things go crazy. I like the way that he summons them at the last second. That way they can all kind of summon up beneath them and just stab them all at the same time. Fight goes crazy. Looks very reminiscent of 300 with the characters kind of coming at each other like that. It was a pretty epic fight. At some point, Esil struggling with who she's going to actually back, and of course, Sung ends up protecting her with his immunity to debuffs, so she starts to get doki doki even more. Interesting change from at least the manhwa to the anime is at some point when Tusk fires at Baron, in the manhwa, his flame from his spell, because he's using the orb, ends up blasting the Wyvern out of the sky. But I do like in the anime, he actually goes and borrows Igris. It looked like he borrowed Igris' sword and threw Igris' sword at his neck, which I thought was pretty cool. But no, the fight itself was pretty awesome, because I like that for once, it looks like Sung is having to push himself to the limit. I think we've had way too many fights, probably ever since the Igris fight. It feels like ever since the Igris fight, he really hasn't had a challenge. It's typically always kind of one-sided, especially with Tusk. It felt very one-sided. But this is like the first case where we had where it looked like he could lose. Obviously, Sung's not going to lose. He's the hero of the show. But I felt like, this is a case where he was being pushed to the limits. Honestly, without Esil stepping in, he probably wouldn't have won. Because yes, at some point, he's literally going to get blasted in the face as he's holding back the blades, and Esil ends up distracting him by throwing her dagger. I mean, she didn't do much, but it was enough to distract Baron to look over, gave him enough time to use his grip to grab the arms. It talks about in the manhwa that he's raised his intelligence so high that using Ruler's Hand now is actually making it stronger. So that's why it gives him the ability to essentially rip his arm straight off and then uppercut his head off. It was a pretty awesome fight. The animation was just absolute chef kiss. The other thing that I like so much about this fight, and I give credits to the team that worked on this, is that it's chaotic, but at the same time, it's something that you can follow. It's a chaotic that you can follow what's actually happening. I hate in a lot of cases with big scale fights like this, with a lot of explosions and whatnot, where you don't really get a sense of where the characters are at and what they're actually doing, what actually turns the fight itself. This one was chaotic, but it was actually still kind of comprehensible, I guess. But yeah, following the fight, he tells her that now that they're the new top ranking family. Radis family is now the top ranking family. It's Radiru. It was cute. I'm going to miss Esil. I'm sure later on when he fights somewhere else, she's going to probably pop up. But yes, with song stuff aside, we did get quite a bit in this episode around Jeju Island, which is the fact that that one insect shows up and kills a butt ton of people. 294 casualties. 6 of which are actually hunters. They sent 108 to engage it. In the manhwa, there's a small snippet of them fighting the bug, and the hunters are basically claiming that the bug itself is very intelligent because it was specifically going after weak hunters first and then targeting the healers. So yes, they do note the fact that these insects seem to be drawn to mana. They're drawn to power, and that's why they're planning on actually having a bunch of high-ranking hunters draw the army to them. They are still intelligent in the moment. When they're on the battlefield, they go for the weakest ones first. That way that kind of thins down the numbers, and they go for the healers to keep the healers from healing people. They're very intelligent. Which that coupled with the fact that this queen is creating so many of these insects is probably why this is such a massive threat. This is the reason why they've not been able to take down this threat on the Jeju Island, is because there's just so many freaking monsters. But yes, they're contacting other countries. Specifically, that gets into the fact that Go at this point is trying to figure out who will actually aid them. He already assumes the US won't aid them because apparently when the first S-rank gate appeared in their lands, the US declined them. So he's already assuming they won't help them out. This may come up in the following episode, but at this point, before they even have the meeting with Japan, they do get contacted by 2 individuals. The first one is Huang. Yes, Huang. Huang contacts them in secret and asks them to join them in the raid of Jeju Island, which, yes, immediately they all know the intentions of Huang. They know that he's coming there because they've already sent a contact to Song. They've already requested Song to help them, and so Huang probably wants to come. Knowing Sung's going to be there, he obviously wants to take down Sung on this raid. So they obviously issue a declining, which I'm going to assume it's probably going to get overwritten by somebody. But the other person that contacts them is an American of a national level. A national level hunter contacts them, which they might actually show him in the next episode, but he's beefy dude. Big dude. But Go actually meets with him, and he's not there to actually help them with the Jeju raid. He's only there to tell them to decline Huang. That's the interesting thing there, is that he's not there to help them. He just knows that Huang contacted them, and it almost, the way that he talks about Huang, it almost sounds like he's a friend of his, which yes, Go immediately is like, why is this guy acting like he's a part of their country? Why is he acting like he's so familiar with Huang? But yes, upon realizing that Go and them have already declined Huang, he's like, well, that's all I really wanted, so I'm going to get out of here. Oh, I'm sorry that I, caused you guys to think that I was going to help you with the Jeju raid. I got too much stuff to do. But hey, if you guys are willing to pay a lot of money, I might be able to help you out. So it kind of implies this guy's all about money, or at least probably more so the fact that the Americans themselves just really want them to pay a lot of money in order to help them out with the situation. Either way, doesn't really matter because, yes, Japan helps him out. Japan coming in to help him out, which, yes, it turns out to be the Draw Sword Guild, which apparently is the second biggest guild in Asia. They have 11 S-rank hunters, and to Go, the guild master himself, his aura is awe-inspiring. So it seems like these guys are super strong. But the interesting thing is that, yes, they come in there, they lay out everything they found out about the insect, which Go and them have pretty much already established that, yes, it seems like they are drawn to mana. Yes, there is a crap ton of them in there. But the goal that Goto has, which is a really high-risk move here, which Go and them weren't really kind of considering, is that because they're drawn to mana, they're going to send in 10 of their individuals, including himself, to draw the army out, and then send Go and his team to go down there, kill the queen, and then get the heck out. Because they will only last a year. They're going to die within a year. But the thing that Go himself is conflicted with in this scene is, why is Goto agreeing with this? It's going to put his team of 10 S ranks and himself at risk. Why would he do this? In the manhwa, it gets into the mind of Goto, where he's considering this because he wants to be a national level hunter. This is going to be his method in order to achieve that rank. in order to help Japan itself. In his mind, he says all national level hunters have raided S rank gates before. Considering previous performance record, once I finish the Jeju Island raid, I'll be high enough in the ladder to be worthy of a national level title. Gaining that title will be enough of a gain for Japan. He acknowledged that it's an S level rank gate, so he carefully selected 10 S ranks to participate. It's very interesting. Again, it gives a reason why this guy is actually doing this, and it's really to gain a title for Japan itself in order to boost it up. But yes, of course, Go accepts because they don't really have enough people. They kind of need Japan to help them out. But it does kind of imply right here that because all these other countries aren't really willing to aid them, it's going to kind of keep this, even though this is kind of a growing threat, obviously for the world, but for now, just really any islands nearby. Despite the threat, they don't really have everything they want at their disposal. It's not like the entire world is going to back them up. Especially apparently not America, because America's always evil in all these stories. America's always evil. But cool stuff. Very cool insights into the whole kind of structure and what they're doing. And again, it was very interesting to see that Huang is obviously going to join. I mean, there's no doubt that Huang's not going to join them. Hopefully to turn to a thing where once they start the whole thing, Huang makes his move and everybody just kills him. Like, okay, dude, get out of here. We knew that you were going to turn on us, just die. But yeah, overall, really cool episode. Very interesting, cool insights into this other world and the demons of the other world. Again, kind of showing the fact that this other side of the gates, they're seemingly intelligent people that are being brought into the system just like Sung, just like everybody else, just to all kind of battle it out. I think the biggest tip of the hand here is really the fact that they were brought there after kind of preparing for a threat, and additionally only to protect the lands, not necessarily to kill humans. It kind of changes things up a bit, and I'm kind of curious to see in the end what exactly that means. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on episode 20 of Solo Leveling. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know what's the episode. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. Like this content and watch for channel more. I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, I'll take care.